guys, it's Sammy Warrayat, the host of the Successful Millennials Podcast. I appreciate you joining in and listening to another episode geared towards proactive and driven millennials born from 1990 to 1997. For those of you who are first-time listeners, welcome. This podcast is specifically geared towards those people born in 1990 to 1997 and are trying to find motivation as well as improve some tactics of how to achieve success in the 5 major categories. I invite you to listen into the journey as I do deep dives, as well as bring in some emerging experts to discuss these categories and our experiences and how to make progress with them. The reason I picked this specific age range is because I wanted to highlight the rise of social media and smartphones technology coming up in the formative years rather than as an established adult. Myself being a millennial in that age range, I was in high school when social media really took off, as well as the iPhone, and that changed the way we grew up almost. Whereas generations who were born outside of that age range either was too young and was born into it, or they were already an adult and kind of fully developed. So what are these 5 categories? In no specific orders of importance, it's money, happiness, career/purpose, relationships, and that covers intimate, familial, and social, as well as health, and that's physical and mental health. Guys, I would love it if you can leave me a review or DM me on Instagram at FinanceZilla or email me at financezilla@gmail.com. I would love to hear your feedback as well as topics that you'd like to learn more on or things that I can do better. I am a big fan, as you probably have realized by listening to a few of these episodes, of continuous improvement. So anything that you guys would like to learn more on or things that I could do better on, please let me know. And if you could share it with just one friend who you think that one of these episodes can help them with, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much. Now, let's get to the show. Hey, Sol, how are you?
Hey, Sammy, how are you?
I'm doing well. I appreciate your time today. I'm really excited for this episode. We talked a little bit before and trading emails, so I think I'm going to learn a lot. And selfishly, that's part of the podcast, but I hope a lot of people learn things that we talk about all the time, but don't really understand. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey.
Well, my journey is a very interesting one. It has been a lifelong learning journey. In my field, I started my professional journey as an economic mathematician, and I always was very different in how I viewed how to model finance or how to model economics. I really strongly felt that the patterns were residing in different areas where usually theory has not really pinpoint yet. I mean, all of the books and the theory that you study and learn is old, and the world has changed. We are doing a lot of things to the world, like climate, for example. Adam Smith, he says that there's free goods. You point to anywhere today where there's a free good. I mean, for us to keep our water clean costs money. You see what I'm saying? Air is, if you have asthma, I have asthma. If you have asthma, you can know that air is not free and there's a cost, right? So things have drastically changed, but I could pick that up for a long time. And I have been learning throughout my life. I went from being an economic mathematician, then really studying physics and quantum mechanics on my own. I also, in mathematics, I really concentrated in chaos theory. So I will be a chaotician, like in Jurassic Park, the first Jurassic Park. Yeah, like that. Love chaos theory. It serves so well. Also because your brain works in chaos theory. So it helps you understand why sometimes, for example, people repeat the same mistakes or they always fall for the wrong person, and why it's so important to correct anomalies that you may have as a human early on, just so you don't keep fostering, right, this chaos theory, this chaotic neuroscientific behavior that your brain works in. And then I realized that everything was changing, the amounts of data was increasing, and that I really wasn't good enough or efficient enough in the way I was coding things and working in finance. And then I decided to go back to school yet again and get a computer science degree. And I specialized in data science. And I have opened an ecosystem of companies in data science and the cloud. And I have become a disruptor in the field. So that is a little bit of part of my journey. The other portion, life always challenges you. Mm-hmm. Challenges are not just self-imposed. Challenges sometimes are received without asking. I became hearing disabled in 2014, one day to the other. And that was brutal because I was just starting Harvard and in 6 months. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? So that is a journey with obstacles and a lot of determination and drive to persevere, not give up, but also at the same time to do the right thing.
Yeah, and there's like 7 different ways I want to go in detail on some of those responses, but we'll take one at a time. And
all right, you go.
You had mentioned the all of a sudden the hearing disabled, and obviously you're a woman in a field with, mathematics, and you're talking about economic modeling, you're talking about data science. I went to Georgia Tech and did computer science. Georgia Tech already is like a 65-35 men to women split. You go into a computer science major and it's 80-20. It feels like. I can only imagine what Harvard is.
And that's a lot. That is a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. They prided themselves, Georgia Tech did, for having 20% females in a STEM major. And so
that is a big percentage of females.
So how was it for you going to class? You're obviously a woman and you're obviously now have problems hearing. How do you stuck out, and how did you feel like you can overcome those things?
Well, Harvard was a very humbling experience, but not just because it was difficult, but also because you really don't know Harvard until you go to Harvard. I think that I really strive in not having prejudice of any kind, but it's inevitable. We still have prejudices. And I still thought that Harvard was different than what it was. And it embraced me. It did not matter. It wasn't about me being a woman. It was about my brain. Mm-hmm. And all of us there, we were exalted about the fact that you had a chance to make a difference. It's really not what you think. And it's so humbling because I literally found my intellectual home, and I'm very active in the alumni community. I am vice president of one of the Harvard boards. And it truly didn't, there's a lot of support. For example, we code, we would do a lot of things in the space for women. Of course, you push your story forward, but I never, honestly, Harvard was not an issue with the ratio, but you are underrepresented as a woman. And also there's a lot of different race underrepresentation. Right. There are a lot of Asian students in computer science. African American students are not that common. A lot of Indian students, Eastern European, but there's certainly a lack of STEM American power, I would say, in
those types of
in CS, in general, right? And I think that goes to the education and how things are viewed here in the US. And that hopefully is something that starts with changes, and hopefully those changes are from role models like me, and realizing that you don't have to look into in a specific way to be a computer scientist or to be a nerd, and you can be a fashionable nerd and still geek out. And you see, I mean, your life is yours, and you should never underplay your brain if you were given one. And if you have a really good skill and you feel comfortable doing something, who cares what, you should pursue that. That is going to really take you for a long, long time. I am very appreciative for the brain that I have, and I'm able to go, it helps me channel difficulties in my own personal life, because once I'm working, I'm literally tapping into a different part of my brain. And it's not even a distraction. I can literally embody the other part of me that without that, I would really never have. And it gives me balance. It provides me with internal peace, because I can do something that balances the rest out, that balances, and it's not just right brain, left brain, but literally your life out. And it's amazing.
Right. Would you consider that to be your flow state?
I don't know. I am always thinking. Literally always thinking. And I definitely play the long game with the reinvention of the cloud, that one of the companies that we built in the ecosystem of DIL. We reinvented the cloud. So you have this scalability of, the big hyperscalers that I will not mention, while at the same time you have the security and the speed and the optimization of a private cloud setting with all the bells and whistles, paying less than in the hyperscalers public cloud. That was a 3-year thinking project. Wow. So I'm always thinking. I try to be in this alternate state of consciousness where I'm always thinking through and analyzing every scenario and tackling problems as I present them. But I do a lot of things to be in that state.
Right.
I don't sleep a lot, but that is just the way I am. When I sleep a lot is when I have a lot of emotional issues, like life has been hard, and then all of a sudden I sleep 8 hours. That for me is crazy. I usually I have 20-hour days easy, and I can sleep very little and then keep on going. I work out. That helps me clear my brain. I'm an artist. I paint under a pseudonym. So that also helps me when I have obstacles and I need to clear my head. But I don't want to watch a lot of TV. I don't do that. There's certain things I cannot watch because I can start running through all the scenarios in my head, and it kind of goes crazy.
Yeah, I've become,
and it gives me anxiety.
I've become the same exact way, where I can only watch things on like when I'm eating or doing like cardio at the gym, and it's on like 2 speed. Because it's too slow. Otherwise, my mind will go crazy. So I definitely relate a little bit there. But let's talk a little bit about DIL, because we'll save the hyperscaler for later. But what does it kind of do? The ecosystem of companies that you've built, it's kind of all related within machine learning and blockchain and stuff.
Everything is related. DIL is the thinking hub. DIL is where all the disruptions are born. And DIL is a data science and decision intelligence consulting firm, an international firm. We work with mid-sized to large clients around the world. a lot of things get thought through DIL, and then this ecosystem starts beginning. Pitotera, that is the private cloud, that is one of the results. We usually, everything is very consolidated and correlated. Pitotera was the cloud that our clients would use. And given that with COVID, it has really been a need in the market. So we have actually brought it out to the market. But there are other products that are related with everything is within that space of, for example, in Pitotera, we have a specific environment for data science in which you can just there deploy, test, have A100 top GPU in the world to be able to run your models, natural language processing, natural language understanding. That is one of my areas of concentration. And you do that in nothing compared to other clouds, right? An algorithm that would take you 38 minutes in a different cloud, it takes less than a second in Pitotera. So it's amazing, because when you're doing combinatorics, when you're cross-validating your hyperparameters in machine learning or artificial intelligence, the combinatorics of it all, I mean, you can be cross-validating for a month and you haven't even trained the model. You're just setting it up.
Back testing, exactly.
No, you're just setting it up. You haven't even put any, you see, so it can go crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you scale something like that? It's not necessarily on premise, because obviously it's on the cloud, but it's a local cloud that's up in the sky there, that you're running everything a lot faster. But how does it not have memory overloads or storage overloads?
No, we have. Well, I cannot give you the secret sauce, but we have data centers around the world, and we also have 50 different CDNs around the world as well. There are different requirements for different jurisdictions, but we have developed a proprietary architecture for the cloud, so you can actually do all this work without having any of those problems, and without losing your work, which is a big deal.
For sure. Okay. So a lot of people maybe aren't as technical as you, obviously, myself included. And they equate, for example, blockchain and cryptocurrency, decentralized ledger, so DLT, right? And they think it's all the same. And they even sometimes throw Bitcoin as the same. And it's all four different things that are interrelated. And they also use cloud technologies. But how do you differentiate the four? We'll just take them with distributed ledger, right? Or decentralized banking. And then we'll take blockchain, and then we'll take cryptocurrency as the third piece.
Okay. So that's a great question, and I'm really happy you asked it. Blockchain is the base for everything that you hear as DLT or decentralized ledger. You can have cryptocurrencies as the function of this ledger, right? Or you can have them for specific functions in a project, or, for example, in a company. It's very smart to have a blockchain, a chain, a ledger, right? To work on a very clear function, not to add a lot of functions per ledger. So in that way, it's pretty clean. And then you can get a lot of really good usable data out without having to do extra data processing. I was one of the first data scientists to get into blockchain, and I got into blockchain not for the cryptocurrency or Bitcoin, but as a data scientist, you spent a lot of time wrangling data. You spent a lot of time cleaning data and doing all that. When you have the data already in the right format in the chain, it's already perfect. You just pull it out. So for me, was a utility, was a functionality that I could reduce the annoying work time of, because even if you love what you do, there's always something that is annoying. So that's the annoying part in data science, not the modeling. That's the fun part, but it's like the data cleaning and all of that. That's really annoying. And that cut it down by a lot. So I was all over it, right? But that is the main difference. And then I would actually change the differences that you gave me. So then there is the public chains and the private chains. So every transaction, every time the chain records something, the blockchain records anything, it doesn't matter if it's public or not, it is a transaction. And it's like a ledger. All of them work the same. It's like a ledger. Whatever happens on this side needs to happen on this side, right? It's like an accounting ledger. And it has a consensus. The nodes or peers or blocks, they have to say and approve the identity of whomever is doing that transaction, right? So it's true. And that is a wonderful use of blockchain for the identity protection. Now, the security of the chains differ in between if it's private or if it is public, because a public chain has a lot more nodes that have to do the consensus, a lot more blocks, right? That have to say, yes, that is true, versus a private chain that you're developing internally in an organization. So I usually, in a DIL, we usually may do modes, right? A public mode of the chain for some identity reason. And then once you're in, then we can simplify things in a chain. Now, because these are transactions, there is a cost to it. And then on top of that, you are able to put the entire layer of cryptocurrencies if you want to do that. That cost is that there's always some level of tokenization, right? There's a token, there's some level of tokenization, but that cost can be large in a public chain or small in a private chain. There are benefits and uses to both, and it depends on the functions. But I am really not in the crypto space. I have never really, it's not really attractive to me.
You're more on the data side.
Yeah. And also from my hedge fund life, and we have hedge fund clients, and I still do quant work. I can't give it up. It's super fun. Is there a lot of inefficiencies in structure still in the crypto trading portion? And for example, even though the CME, you have futures and options on Bitcoin, not everybody can trade them. It's not, and I'm registered to trade future options, and I can do a lot of things, but I cannot even touch that you see. So
there's a lot of barrier to entry.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel, it feels oligopolio type. It feels transactional inefficiencies. It feels you can lose money on that. If also the reality is that it's not properly legislated. And what you can do today, and it's totally fine and okay, tomorrow the SEC can say, nope, that's not legal.
It's such a new space that you have to have some sort of exposure to it. But I only have a small percentage of my portfolio in there because you want the exposure, but you don't want everything to be in there because you don't know what's going to happen. So I'm with you on the same side of cryptocurrency, but I do have a question between the private and the public nodes, as you're mentioning in them, or the modes rather. Is there a latency benefit or a throughput that private has a pro on over the public because of the amount of checks that you have to do? Or?
Yeah, it works really, really fast. It's imperceptible. Okay. It's imperceptible, the differences. It's the cost. It's just the cost of public is larger than the cost of, you have more transactions, right? Than the private. So it's great to get, if you're developing something that needs some type of tighter functionality, you will build that on a public chain first, and then you would not run all the transactions on that chain because it's going to be expensive. I mean, it has a cost. Blockchain, even for business use cases or supply chain or whatever it is, it has a cost. It's not free.
Fair enough. And I know some companies that I used to work at were big on data lakes, which is essentially pouring all the different ERP systems into one area so that you can do exactly what you said, just pull it easily and it'll be super straightforward as a data scientist or a data analyst. And my experience as a data analyst, 90% of the time is you corralling data and making it match, and 10% is the actual analysis. So data lake seemed like it would be something awesome, but they never made the ERP connections make sense from a primary key perspective, right? So from each system, how does A relate to B? And you can make that work. How does, I guess, the blockchain nodes that you were working on in your systems make life easier so that an analyst can just pull data, or a data scientist can just build a model and trust that everything works in the back end?
Yeah. So blockchain is just a component. You still need to have, so for example, we do have data lakes in Petitera, but our data lakes are incredible. I mean, in the sense where, because it's built by data scientists for data scientists, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have different sectors of insights. Not the same models work on the same insights.
Right.
We have different levels of recommenders, but blockchain is just one element. You are not going to put all the data in the chain. You still need to have other sources of data. And some of those sources may actually not come directly from the company. Some of them you may need to engineer. And this is where, so even if you have a data lake does not preclude you from having to do the exploratory data analysis and all that good work that data scientists do to be able to really think through the data. Sammy, I always say that there's a reason why math comes out of philosophy. You need to think why you're putting the plus sign there. You need to think through it. You really need to think through it. And data science is not different. It's not different than any other scientific field. It's a field of intersection. Also, not every data scientist should be working with every single data set because they don't have the domain knowledge in that space. At DIL, we work on finance, marketing, law, and healthcare. And that's it. We have done work for other spaces like aerospace, things like that. We do Department of Defense work, yes, but it's very clear and defined. You see, you need to have domain. Actually, in Instagram, I did a post on why having domain knowledge is really important as a data scientist. And if you don't have one, just go get one, because you need to, the nuance of your expert intuition and the way that you know what corner cases are coming, even if you can handle the data, are just too large. You need to have an area of concentration. Classic example is pharmacology. If you're making models for pharmacology and in data science, and I know you know this, all the cost functions, it starts with blank MSE, right? And you cannot really dampen outliers in pharmacology when you're testing a drug. You cannot dampen outliers by dampening the effect, because the square of that effect gets, dampened by the square of the negative effect. And then you kind of have everything kind of squashed towards the mean, right? For your pattern. That is not what you need to do in pharmacology, because if a drug is producing a couple of deaths, that is an important thing to know. So you need to have a different function for cost, an absolute square error. But if you don't know that in that field, you are literally going to have the wrong insights. And I could go on and on. So you need to have domain knowledge. That's why it's really important for people to have. Data science is not a field that you are just really good coding artificial intelligence
100%.
or that you can code in Python. Data science is an intersection field. You need to know a lot of statistics, math, super important, data science per se, really relevant, but you need to have domain knowledge.
Yeah, I think the best role any person who's in their early 20s should take is like a business analyst, where you're getting familiar with data, but you're hand in the business, you're learning that domain knowledge. And then if you find out that you really enjoy it and you like the data side more, that's when you jump into data science or machine learning or something and really dive into it more. But getting that 2 feet in the door, if you will, really helps you learn that domain so that you can cover those edge cases and learn how to be a better tester even, which is something that I know machine learning takes a little bit of care of with its continuous learning. But talk to a little about how that actually works, because I think everybody thinks machine learning or AI, and I know you have those sci-fi movies that like for example the Terminator, and you think, okay, that's how it's going to work and they're going to learn and get better, and or iRobot and they become sentient beings and stuff like that. They get a little bit too crazy. But how does a program actually continuously learn from the data of it, from the programming of it?
Okay, so that is a great question, and I'm very glad you asked it, because that is a misconception. You are always having to, for that continuous learning to occur, you have to continuously learn and teach the program, artificial intelligence or deep learning model. And that only happens, but it's the same thing. Even in machine learning, artificial intelligence is everything, right? And you have the machine learning space and the deep learning space. The deep learning space is a lot of GPU usage.
Sorry to cut you off there, but GPU, global processing units, correct? Talk us a little bit about that.
Graphic processing units. Sorry. Yeah. So if you're a gamer, you know what I'm talking about. It is the graphic processing units that give you that amazing resolution on the screen. Now, the computer has a CPU, right? And it was a major breakthrough in data science when this great data scientist that was a great coder as well, hacked into their GPUs of his computer, of the gaming computer, and was able to harness the power of the graphic processing unit, not for graphics, but for computation. So from there, you would see a lot of data scientists having gaming laptops. Because you would hack your computer so you could, use the GPUs that the computer had. And then, for example, Apple started to provide you external GPUs that you could use. But GPUs are expensive and they're computationally intensive. And also it's really important, for example, the A100 that are the top of the line GPU in the world that Pitera has for this work. They're great GPUs because you can virtualize them. You can separate them in 7 parts and you can run 7 different models in one GPU. So,
wow.
I know. Isn't that amazing? I know. It's great. It's amazing. So when you're training a model, you're literally teaching it. So let's say that this is all the data that you have. This is your data set. You kind of separate the data set in 3 parts. I'm doing it in a mirror. So let's say you leave that as your test set. You're going to use this portion as validation set. You want to try to leave as much as possible for training, because it is the equivalent like you're studying for the SAT. So you're taking all these test banks and you're learning, you say, okay, this question, this is the answer. That question, that's the answer. And then you practice and you practice and you practice. That is exactly what the deep learning or AI algorithm is doing. You're putting the training data in, and it's trying to pick up the models and learning and trying to generalize it. So it's important that you don't take the data sequentially. It's important that you mix it up, that you give a lot of noise in this data and there's no time seriality in the data. So it doesn't pick up that up as a pattern, right? So you have to be smart in how you feed this data. The validation sliver that I said you have to use, that also should be all mixed up. And I'm trying to use a lot of layman terms. And then you put it first in the model to validate if the hyperparameters are the right ones, because all of these models are open source. Everything is open. Anyone can run. And if you know how to code it, you can run it. But you need to calibrate the hyperparameters because you need to make sure that the right parameters are there for the data that you are using. Once you do that, then you train the model, you teach it. The model studies the data, and then it generalizes the data with the, with the processes that you went through, and then you test it in the test data. Correct. So that is the process. And then you start putting the model out into the world. The model is predicting, doing its job with that generalization on new data, right? But then for the model to learn on that new data, then you have to bring that new data in, calibrate it. You have to cross-validate it because the data may be different. You should never trust that the same hyperparameters are going to work with new data. Cross-validate it, that can take forever, and then learn it and then put it out in the world. So that's why it's continuously learning, but it's not that is doing it alone. There is a human and machine loop in that entire process. Sometimes the models get stuck in training, and in saddle points, data has topography, like a Swiss landscape. It has peaks and valleys. It can be very sparse. It can be very tied together. It can be a lot of data, high dimensionality data, a lot of data. You need to work on all of that. There's always a human loop. It's not something that these are the functional, the ones. I'm not talking about the testing. I'm not talking about the experiments that people are running to try to create sentient AI. Yes, people are doing unethical things with AI. All of these technologies, they should enhance our cognitions and our ability as humans. There's always this human and machine loop. You have to be ethical in the things that you do, and not because you can do them, it means that you should. And that is a massive word of caution. I mean, yes, you could, if we are not cautious, everyone thinks that someone else is paying attention to the right thing, or that the government is not going to let that happen. That is not true.
Not the case.
We have gotten to a point in evolution where anyone pretty much that can do it is doing it.
Yeah, we don't stop to ask if we should do this. We just say, can we do it? And then we go ahead and do it. And that's my fear. Like, I love technology and AI, but I am extremely scared of that exact reason. Like, people are way smarter than me working on things that it could be craziness. Like, we don't know. Yeah, it's a human loop, and you need to be a domain expert, but eventually it's going to compute things faster than any human can. Now, a quick word for today's show's sponsor. I'm normally not a fan of nice clothes. I like comfort over style, especially because I like being active often. Habits 365 is a brand that does both. The reason I'm excited to partner with them is because their vision is in line with this podcast. Their whole message is to preach consistent improvement by creating and maintaining continuous habits 365 days a year. That sounds exactly like what I like to preach, 1% better every day. It also helps that they promote positivity around important topics like mental health and wellness, which is one of the 5 categories, as well as social justice and much more. The fact that they employ mostly millennials and are run by 2 people who are in their 20s, like myself, is an added bonus. If you're interested in supporting the show as well as getting some apparel, feel free to enjoy the code FINANCEZILLA for 15% off online purchases by using the link in the show notes. That's FINANCEZILLA for 15% off online purchases. Guys, water is super important for maintaining physical health, one of the 5 categories of the Successful Millennials podcast. Doctors always recommend at least 8 cups a day, and for every cup of coffee or tea, you should probably add another cup of water. throw in things like pre-workout, creatine, and the fact that everybody just has different hydration needs based on, their body weight and gender, physical activity, etc. You should probably drink well over that eight cups of water. Me personally, I drink like a gallon and a half a day. I just love water. I drink it with every meal. I drink it when I work out. I don't drink juices or anything else. That's why I'm excited to partner with the Coldest Water. They make water bottles that can preserve cold water and ice that won't even melt for 36 plus hours. Especially in the summertime heat like now, these bottles that come in different sizes are a great way to keep your water cold when running errands, hiking, or just so that you don't have to keep going to the fridge every now and then. Enjoy a personal code for 10% off our online purchases by going to the link in the bio and using the code FINANCEZILLA. That's FINANCEZILLA for 10% off online purchases. Now back to the show.
Oh, it's already computing things.
Yeah.
I cannot compute the data that my artificial intelligence model an hour ago was computing before I talked to you, Sammy. It's already like way beyond me. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't need my genius to live.
Right, exactly.
But people should be asking. This is why I was doing a TED talk and then I had to pull out, unfortunately. And that was my big thing. Why should you care about artificial intelligence? Because it is relevant to you. You should, and it's not just about tech, it's about in general. Right. Should you be crossing the street without looking and looking at your phone? No. Can you do it? Absolutely. Should you? No. And it's not just the positive or negative externalities for you. It doesn't matter if you have kids. Your behavior influences someone else.
Right.
What you do influences someone else. In chaos theory, the classic, the wings of the butterfly, move. Yep. Exactly. It is true. You will never know the impact that you can have on a person. For example, one should be careful. Mental health is a classic example of this. Some people are just so rude and mean for no reason. And you never know what is going on behind the facade of a person. That person can be struggling with severe mental health, and that absolutely non-meritorious incident can send a person into a tremendous down spiral, and it could be the end of their life. You should think about what you do, not just in AI. Ethics should be something parents should talk to their kids. And I think as a society, we don't.
Yeah, I don't think we stop enough to see what your actions do. And that's why I kind of have this podcast to the social media and all of the anonymity behind it. You don't really see who you're potentially affecting with negative comments and stuff. And we talk about it more maybe now than in previous generations, or because it wasn't as popular of a hot topic in mental health and wellness. But I don't feel like the change is being done as much as maybe needed to really pull back when you're having a bad day and understanding your emotions enough, and how if you say something can make somebody else have a bad day, and it continues to cycle through. Because like it's 7 degrees of separation, right? Technically, I know everybody in the world through the people you know and your people who they know, and it just continues on that way. So we really need to be a little bit more cautious, and that's part of, I think, an overall message. But I'm curious to see your stand.
Can I interrupt you?
Of course.
That is one of the amazing things that have happened to me because becoming hearing disabled. I feel I have become a better human because I became disabled. I am so much more in tune to people because I have to get over my feelings. I have to get over my insecurities. I have to hear you out. And I have 3 different hearing disabilities, and my hearing loss is non-continuous. So I hear, it's a cognitive disarray. I hear like that. So I really rely on everything that makes you. So yes, it's bittersweet. I will never know how my kids' voices are changing. I really don't know your voice, Sammy. Right. But I make a composite of your voice based on the few things I pick up, based on the rest of your identity, based on how you carry yourself, and the expressions of kindness that you have. Some people don't.
Thank
So
you.
I give evil voices to people sometimes if they don't come across kind. But um, you know, because I don't have any help with my hearing disabilities at all.
What do you mean you
Because
don't have any help? What do you mean?
I cannot use hearing aids because I have
Oh, okay.
contrasting hearing disabilities. So I cannot fill in that gap of hearing with hearing aids. I cannot have a cochlear implant because it's nerve damage. There's nothing I can do. So I literally used how artificial intelligence works, right? I'm an expert. I know the math. So you lift the engine of artificial intelligence, and that's what I do in my head every single second when I'm engaging with people. And the learning thing, I would watch movies like a million times to
Wow.
know, just to learn the different lip, actions and whatnot. I cannot hear my voice. So to know how loud or not loud I'm speaking when I'm in a very noisy room is a disaster because I think I'm speaking loud and I'm a mouse. But
Yeah.
I would throw myself on the table or touch, my chest like Beethoven, right? I got it from
Wow.
Beethoven. And that's how I would feel the vibration. I'll be like, okay, yeah, it's a good sound. It's a good sound. So, but it made me a better person. Why? Because I had to get over me and I had to tune into others.
Wow.
In a very short, succinct line, that's basically what it did. And I am so thankful it happened to me. And I'm so thankful my kids are, listen, it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy for me. I have to predict the frequency of the words that are coming out of your mouth to know if that is the word that you're saying or
Yeah.
not. And also at the beginning, we had to read in paper plates. My kids did not like that. But my point is that is the reason why I'm a better human, Sammy, because I had to get over me, right?
hmm
And really tune into you on whomever I'm engaging with. And you know what? I will never give it up.
That's
I,
beautiful.
yeah.
I
It's
mean,
the first time I have said it in public.
well, I'm glad that I guess I got breaking news, but no, I mean that's really beautiful. Like we talk about active listening, like you literally can't look at your phone while I'm talking because you have to read my lips. And we talked a little bit about before. I was like, what do I have to do? Like, do I have to like exaggerate my movements? And you're like, no, like I got you perfectly. And I was like, this is definitely an interesting scenario. I have no idea how you've been able to overcome it in such a short amount of time, but it is awesome and inspiring. The fact that you're just like, you're chucking along and it's as if it didn't even do anything to you. And that's really beautiful.
Well, at some point, unfortunately, I wish I could say it's the hardest thing that has ever happened to me, but no. There's a point where you go like, is this a cosmic pun? You are like, okay, bring it. I'm just like, but
Yeah.
no, trauma cannot be compared, right?
hmm
Everybody goes through difficult things. Of course, it was difficult and it was sad and it's
Right.
sometimes still is, but it has had very drastic positive externalities. I'm very thankful I was able to have the resilience. I'm a martial artist too,
Nice.
in Taekwondo.
Okay.
And
You just do it all, huh?
no, no, no. I just do certain things really well. But that also gave me the inner peace and the realization that you cannot strive to get over your fears. You
hmm
can only make the things that you don't do well better. And you have to live with your own demons and insecurities. You can get better at it and you can master them
hmm
and you can learn to live above them. And I think if this would have happened before my martial artist journey, it would have
hmm
been much harder for me to accommodate to it.
Right.
But I know I'm a better mom. I am a better spouse. I'm a better person. I'm a better person because I had to get over me to connect with you. And it's not just give up the phone, it's also really like take the other person in, right? I have to see everything. I have to see you, literally, like see you. And I really, I don't wish it on anyone. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But I think that all people should be more conscious of what they have and who they have and who they're interacting with. You will never realize the power that the most unexpected person can have. And, you know, you cannot be open to life and the possibilities if you don't get over yourself and connect with it.
For sure. And I think people who do want to be a little bit more of an active listener and be more present, what are some of the things that you focus on to read and understand? Like you said, you're looking for a lot of different things to read my personality as well as what I'm saying. What are some of the things that like I should look at, for example, or somebody listening should look at?
Yeah, you can, the face is crucial. What you're doing right now, right? Right now, you did like that. Yeah, you moved your lips, you tightened up a little bit, and then you took a deep breath. You take a lot of breathing. People in general, you breathe when you are in an active critical thinking or rationalization process. So I can tell right now that what I said resonated with you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we're separated, people, by the virtual world. But I could tell, right? So was I right?
Yeah, you're 100% right. Yep. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So the way, for example, everyone has a different pattern, right? So you get a baseline of someone's face, and from there you start analyzing the patterns. Also, you need to realize that we only see just a little bit. So you have to constantly be scanning the face, the person, the body positioning. Sometimes if a person doesn't look at you in the eye, it's okay. They may be shy. They may be thinking. That is not necessarily lying or they're not true. Well, I mean, if they're looking at their phone, for sure. Like, no. But, you know, like, for example, other cues, touching the face covering, touching this area, those are usual cues that something's off or they are not being truthful. You can notice the person's cadence, how the person tends to speak. There's usually somebody involvement with that. It's the whole package, the whole enchilada. You should, you know, pay attention. Flipping your hair, people, is not because you're narcissistic. Sometimes it's because you have a lot of hair and you move a lot and it comes forward.
For sure.
Because some people are constantly like playing with the hair. Okay, that's not the case here. You always, and that's another point. I think people tend to overgeneralize, overfit the data when they're interacting with someone. Oh, she was touching her hair a lot. She has to be like that. Or, oh, you see what I'm saying? Or, oh, no, he never looked at me in the eye. He, you know, is either not into me or he's probably has something hidden or he's not being truthful. That is overgeneralizations. It's like superstitions. Superstitions are overfitting the data, right? Like you can't pick a pattern that may generalize on a lot of people, but you don't really have, it could be a cultural difference. I mean, there's a lot of things that you need to consider. And they're always corner cases. You should always realize that each person you're interacting with is unique. And they have had their own journey and they have their own way of processing things. So you need to get the baseline from that person. And I really caution people from not overgeneralizing patterns from others.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like you don't know a person well enough if you do that. And you have to have a good level of understanding of them and everything they go through. You're not going to do that with a single stranger on the street that does something that most of the time can mean something like
Right.
that they're disinterested. So it just helps. I think our minds just want to process something and move on, but you have to really take a step back and understand it. And your brain is firing too many neurons at one point to really step aside. You have to come in consciously and stop it in order to make a less judgmental decision. That's something I'm definitely been trying to work on a lot through my readings. We talked earlier, like psychology is something that I'm super interested in, and
Mm-hmm.
that it just, you don't realize that you're doing those things until
I know.
you do, and then it becomes inevitable that that's all you realize that you're doing.
I know. And then you're like, oh no. But,
Exactly.
if I would have gone to Harvard as a hearing able person, I I think that it would have been very different too, because
Mhm.
I had to get over being scared, or I had to put my feelings in 1 millionth place, because I had to figure out how to hear first. But Harvard did give me so much assistance with
That's awesome.
accessibility services. It was really, for me, it was a humbling experience. I mean, you can see I have a Harvard Speech on Sanders Theater
Mhm.
on YouTube, but I they helped me find my humanity. They said
That's
to
awesome.
regain it back, right? I was ashamed. I didn't know disabilities is a group that you can belong to at any point in your life.
Mhm.
It's not just reserved for those that were born disabled. I mean, so there, it, you don't know. It's a new normal, but it's a new way of finding your identity. And Harvard, pretty much, they said, listen, yeah, sure, you're a force of nature. Yeah, sure, you are used to doing everything and you have a great brain, but you don't have to do it alone. We can help you carry the load and we can help you adapt again. I kid you not, that's what Harvard did for me with my hearing. And
That's
it
awesome.
was it was incredible. It was
Yeah.
incredible. I had so much support and I learned to be me again.
That's can't be understated, the importance of that. And I'm glad
Yeah.
that you found the environment that, surround yourself with people that you also enjoy and that can get you better. And it sounds like Harvard did that for you. I do want to switch gears a little bit, and I know something you're super passionate about the fourth industrial revolution, and I have zero idea what that is. So,
Well, it's everything you were talking about, Sammy.
okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
So, fourth industrial revolution is this cutting edge technologies that have come out and taken over the world.
Okay.
Artificial intelligence, blockchain, cloud, and big data. However, I take big data out of there and I put IoT,
Hmm.
because that is really a technology. Uh,
Right.
if you have ever worked in data, data has always been huge, right?
Hmm.
It's just now we have technologies that I resent the term big data, because data has always been huge. Yes, it's increasing exponentially. Yes, we have a lot more data. And last second, I had a lot less data than the next second I will have. Sure. But these technologies are expanding the concepts of data. And this is when I get everyone's head like really, my head just, exploded. Data is not what we learned that data was. It's not just a number or a categorical variable or an ordinal variable. A word is data. A
Hmm.
letter is data. If I can process it, if I can analyze it, I don't care what it is
Yep.
data.
Yep.
Noise, data. Images, data.
Hmm.
Sound, data. If I have a way to analyze it with these technologies, it's data. So now the idea of data is much, much bigger, despite of its exponential rate of increase.
Hmm.
The concept of data is totally different than the concept of all these economic theories and all of that were written many, many years ago. And that is huge. So the fourth industrial revolution is this perfect storm of technologies that are making us evolve and that are happening all at the same time. Cloud, I say IoT, we're replacing, because data Data is the oil of all these technologies. Think about it.
Oh yeah, you
right?
definitely need it to do anything at this day and age.
The fuel for that, those technologies for the engine is data. So I take data out, and data is the reason why we are developing all of this. There are things that now I can do that 2 years ago I could not do. There were things that I couldn't analyze 2 years ago, and today I can.
Right.
And that is because we have this artificial intelligence, deep learning, IoT, we have cloud, and we have blockchain for different uses, different things. One gather data, the other one process data, right? All of the differences but it's all about data. The fourth industrial revolution was literally not just the emergence, but the confluence of all this four happening at the same time. But it's the fourth industrial revolution because the industrial revolution was the third revolution.
Yeah.
So, but it's not because there are four technologies, even though it happens to be the case. Now, I pose, and I'm writing a book, and I would love to come here, Sammy, and talk to you about it. And
please,
hopefully we'll be finished. I pose that we have moved on from that because these technologies were just the frameworks, right? Now we are intersecting them. We are using them. We are literally unleashing its power and making them work in our world. It's not just something that is worked at a university basement experiment. It's not something that maybe the government uses. It's something we all use at the same time. And that means that there's different requirements from this technology, like ethics, things that you should and you shouldn't do. So I pose that we are going to the next level of evolution because of this, and all of it is getting intersected. Heck, I'm doing it in business. I literally have developed an ecosystem of companies that literally are using 3 of the 4 technologies all together.
That's awesome. And I definitely will have you on if you're open to it when you have the book come out. But you did mention you mentioned ethics, and that brought me back to a point I wanted to start earlier. I know Elon Musk is huge on neural net and the fact that you can essentially connect to this fourth industrial revolution of all the technology inside and merge that connection with your own self. And and how do you feel about that? We don't have to get into the entire feasibility of it, but from an ethics perspective, is that something that excites you? Is that something that scares you? To me, it's an exciting scariness.
It is. And if you have heard Elon Musk speak about it, he is the one telling you we have to be super careful because, Terminator
There's no governing
is coming.
board. Yeah.
I mean, right? So you may think there is an inconsistency. There's a logical fallacy here. How can he be saying one thing on one end and another thing on the other end? And Elon, don't call me, but I don't think that you have a logical fallacy. Hopefully you're using really good ethics, but it's problematic. It's problematic, but it is needed. I'm going to say something that, I don't think that, your viewers were here to hear, but my mother is dying of ALS, and it was very fast. And it was in 2 years. From diagnosis to the end, right? And right now we are going through that. And I am waiting on the visa. That is why I wanted to shoot this podcast as soon as possible, because I was going to not be available. And I really wanted to do it. And I'm waiting on the approval of the vaccines, because the Chilean government needs to approve my vaccines. Crazy, but I cannot even see my mother because of that. Hopefully, I get to see her before she departs. But in ALS, what Elon Musk is doing, it would be life-changing for ALS patients. There are degenerative diseases and disabilities in which work like the work that he's having, right, with literally the neural nets, will create some diseases are not curable, and finding the reason and how to fix them, they will never, it's never gonna work. But you can give people a better quality of life for as long as that lasts. There are some people, the majority of people with ALS, they live longer, but they're very unknown diseases because we don't have enough sample size. They're very rare diseases. They don't get carried by families. So you don't know the causes. It's all confounded. We don't have a big sample size to make really good generalizations, even if you have all the data in the world.
Right.
So work like that really can help people. Now, the reality is that you don't need to go as far as a neural net right here to actually have a prosthetic of artificial intelligence. The Google Glasses, that's exactly what that is. And, it's reading the phobia movements, and it is actually giving you the pattern and with certain recommenders providing you information. That's exactly what that is. So I think that a lot of people concentrate on Elon Musk, and Elon, call me because I would love to talk to you. Actually, don't call me, call me. If you're watching this, call me. It will be my honor. But and we can get into some heavy discussions. So yes, sure, please call me. Oh yeah, I would love it. Call me, Elon. But no, I think that a lot of people use his project as almost like as an epitome of things that shouldn't be done. Excuse me, a lot of things are being done with artificial intelligence on your computer right now when you're surfing the internet that you do not want. And it's unethical, and it is Google Glasses. It's the same thing. It's just that feels different. Because the Elon Musk neural net feels different because it's clearly working from your brain. Right. But the other one is still working from your brain in the Google Glasses. It's the same thing. It's just, it feels different. And I think that's why there's a lot of things that have advanced usage of artificial intelligence that shouldn't have been there in the first place, because they don't feel wrong, because no one is plugging you. I don't put my finger and plugging myself in the electric outlet, for example. In the case of the Elon Musk work in this area, not SpaceX or anything like that, but in this area, it's clear. It's pretty much in your face. So you have to, the questions are not confounded by layers of extra tech. It's like right there in your face. This is what we're doing. But there's the same is happening on your phone. Right now.
Yeah, exactly.
No one is asking anything. People are saying that the vaccine is putting trackers, and they're walking with a phone everywhere.
That tracks
this is
everything.
A tracker.
Yeah.
So do you see what I'm trying to say?
Oh, 100% agreed.
I think that that's part. Now, having said all of that, you should save a lot of money because, and millennials, hear me out, because in the same way that a lot more people in the millennial generation, you spend more money on technology. Technology is going to be, when they say wearables, they're not talking about watches anymore. We're talking about wearables or contact lenses, which I would not be able to do because I overblink. So
no, you'd be fine.
How I would do it. But yeah, or, I'm looking forward to have something so I can hear my kids' voices, or maybe so I could hear your voice. Maybe.
Exactly.
That would be awesome.
That would be like, that was one of my next questions was, would you do it? Right. If it would be able to fix your hearing. You don't have to answer that if you don't want to. It's kind of a personal question.
I would like to have the option to, the only thing I have avoid is in the part of identity of people where I don't know their voices. When I encounter new people, there's so much identity in a voice and I lose that. And that's why I raise her in and, get over myself and raise her into the person I'm exchanging with, because I really want to pick up their identity, because I already can't see their the identity in their voice.
Right.
That would be the only reason. I am really comfortable. I think in life, you have to accept yourself with the good and the bad. It's part of your journey. I have overcome it.
Yeah.
And I have made it a better life than the one that I had before. And I'm happier as a person because I have become a better person in spite of it.
Wow.
So, I would only do it maybe because I want to hear my kids and hear certain people. But no, also, I think that, I have been very blessed with my brain. I would not. I mean, it would have to be a very specific, I don't know. I don't even know. No one has ever asked me that question. I don't even know where I would actually say I would do this. But no, I mean, this is a clear example, right? But no, I wouldn't do it. Now, a lot of it, and also I code them. So I know how it works. I know that I would not trust that the people coding it have actually tackled saddle points, have calculated third derivatives to get it, the training sets. I mean, I would be really concerned about, I would be vetting everything because it can have negative externalities. And this is a risk of AI. I mean, AI, if you don't code it right, if you're not ethical, if you don't ask the right questions, you can increase biases, increase discrimination. You can make the wrong decisions for people, and on and on and on we go. So, I would be a nightmare patient if that's the case. I think already my lawyers and my doctors hate me because I do so much research and they're like, oh my God.
No, it's a good thing though. You got to be informed because accuracy is the most important thing in any data. Like speed is important. That's all nice. And presentation is important. But if it's wrong and it's not accurate, to me, that's the only thing that matters as an analyst. And I'm sure if she is a data scientist.
Yeah. So for example, I'm going to give you an example. I was taking this experimental shots for my asthma because I had gone through 5 pneumonias in 4 years. It was crazy. Wow. And I was hospitalized and whatnot. This was after my hearing disability. So my point is that I had to do this, it was a biological agent that was helping my lungs. And I took it for 9 months and then I stopped. And my pulmonologist is like, oh my God, what are you doing? And I said, listen, there's not enough data. Yes, there is enough data for me to know that my lungs are going to get better. Clearly, they're better. But there's not enough data to know what is going to happen in 20 years down the road. Right. So I may be trading good lungs today for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 20 years. No,
not a trade-off.
It literally has to be, for me in that situation, it had to be I cannot survive. And that is why I'm taking it. But that wasn't my situation. So I stopped. I think this is the case, for example, of an ALS patient that has lost his or her abilities or their abilities. And, the Elon Musk neural net, where the loss, you really don't have much to lose.
Yeah.
Right. And your life improvement is a radical gift. Right.
I 100% agree. I think it's got to be an important trade-off. And I mean, I feel like we could talk about this. Hopefully we'll save it for when you release the book and we'll come back for more.
All right.
This has been probably my favorite conversation on the podcast. I've learned so much, Sol, so I appreciate it. We talked a little bit about Thank you. You talked a little bit about the book and the TED Talk. I assume those things are next for you. Any other exciting things that you're working on that we can get a teaser on?
Oh, so many exciting stuff. We are working on a mental health and AI project that we are proposing for
Awesome.
the Institutes of Mental Health. The National Institutes of Mental Health is on suicide prevention.
Awesome.
And yeah, I'm really excited about that. Hopefully, my PhD in in psychiatry and artificial intelligence. But we are working on a lot of great things internationally that unfortunately I am not um,
Liable
at
to talk about.
I cannot talk about it,
No
but I will
worries.
come back to talk about it when I get approvals because
Awesome.
I am working. You know what I'm working on, Sammy? I'm working with great clients that are changing the world for the better and that are
Perfect.
using these technologies to actually do better things for their communities and for business
Mhm.
the way it should be done. And I appreciate that. I'm very picky with my clients too. And I love the fact that I'm surrounded by a group of people, not just the teammates that work at DIL and Petatera, but also my clients
Mhm.
that the people we have as clients, they're really trying to do the right thing. And in some countries, so I can't wait to talk about that. Hopefully, it gets I get all the okays and I can talk about it soon. But some countries that are going to be showing everybody else in the world what they should be doing for their communities and for
That's awesome.
others. And that's really exciting. Another exciting thing is that we are disrupting the natural language processing and natural language understanding um, field, and we are actually creating new methods of pre-processing that no one has ever done before with the
Wow.
team. I know that
That's
is
awesome.
really exciting. So that I can come back as well, and I'm going to be proposing a paper for the IEEE. And if you don't know what that is, it's like the the holy grail of computer
Mhm.
scientists and
Mhm.
technologists and engineering.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, best of luck, and I'm definitely going to
Thank
check your
you.
journey. Where can people find you and connect with you, learn more about you and DIL?
Yeah, so you can find us on LinkedIn. You also can find us on the web. DIL is Data Innovation Labs
Mhm.
.io,
Mhm.
and Petatera is petatera.ai
Mhm.
because .com is so 90s.
Yeah.
It's so 2000s. And you can always find me on LinkedIn. I will gladly talk with you if you I mentor a lot too. I was lucky enough in life and I always pay it forward. And also on Instagram. And I started Instagram maybe a couple months ago because of this entire issues of,
Mm.
good data, good information, and a lot of younger people than me, millennials and whatnot, asking me, we would love to hear from you on Instagram. And it's all positive or, really things that motivate me,
Mhm.
how I have overcome certain things. And guess what? Data science.
Of
But I
course.
did put a picture of William Shatner yesterday.
There you go.
Yeah, I did. I actually I have met him, so I
Awesome.
posted a picture of him and me
Nice.
um, on Instagram because of the trip that he did
Yeah.
in outer space. Yeah, so yeah, so it's not always about data science. You may see I may put Holyfield soon.
There you go.
Yeah. But so there may be a celebrity or two sometimes. And that is Sol Reina with a Y, Girouard
Okay.
at
Perfect. And
Instagram.
no worries. All those links will definitely be there. And I just can't wait for our next conversation. So thank you so much for your time.
I can't wait either. I was really looking forward to this. Thank you for having me, Sammy.
Of
You're doing
course.
great work.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
That concludes another episode of the Successful Millennials Podcast. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode and which tip or trick you picked up on that you'll implement after listening to today's episode. Please don't forget to leave a like or subscribe on whichever podcast streaming platform you're listening to right now. Obviously, we're on all of them. And let me know what topics you'd like to learn more on or ask a guest on. And my email is going to be in the show notes. It's financezilla@gmail.com. That's the best way to reach out to me. If you have Instagram and you prefer to reach out there, I'm also quite active and I'll respond to DMs. It is at financezilla. Again, both of those will be in the show notes. Now, if you're wondering on how I got to where I'm at, where I was able to retire from corporate and kind of do this as well as invest and trade in the stock market, and you would like to learn more, kind of take control of your finances and therefore take control of your life and being able to do what you want to do, being financially independent, reach out to me via either of those ways and ask for that 30-minute free strategy consultation session. The link again will be in the show notes for that, and we can talk about how to live the life you want to live and make money doing it, as well as be comfortable and happy. That's, I think, the goal of everything. That's the reason why I started this podcast and why I do this consulting business. So reach out, let me know if I can help, and apply via the link in the show notes. Until then, talk to you guys next week.